first Steve.
I'll meet you at the cemetery gates. Keats and Yates are on your side, but you lose. So today's video is going to be at St. Joseph's Roman Catholic Cemetery. There's the map of it. Campo is the main area. So in 1985 to 1986 I spent 1 year working here, doing various jobs which I'll talk about shortly. As you can see, it's a snowy day. So before I actually worked here, Moston Cemetery played a big part in my life. When we was kids and I lived over there even, Bluestone Road, me and Tommy, we used to snuck into the cemetery, climb trees, that kind of thing, play football at the bottom before they put new graves there. And yeah, and then when I got older we did some conquering, climbing these trees. This was the only place in Moston where they had conkers, that and a couple of trees in the clough, but it was mainly here where we'd come and we'd scale the trees, try to get conkers, which was good fun. And then as I got older, it was taking drugs, drinking cider, and just generally hanging about in the evenings when it was dark, winter. We'd hang about here. And then when I was 21, got a job here, working 3 days a week. It was called a community program, community scheme, something the government had dreamed up to study the figures of the unemployed. Basically, you did 3 days a week, 1 year, and it was just to get people off, young people like myself, off the dole and into work. That's the Campo there. More about that later. So that's the scenario. I'll talk more soon about what's happened here. Thank you. So one of the jobs that we had to do at the cemetery was straightening the paupers' graves. These are the paupers' graves in question. As you can see, a lot of them all like slanted, bent out of shape. You'd look over here at these ones. These are really bad. So we used to dig them out. There's like 4 of us, crew. We used to dig them out, pull them forward, straighten them, put a cement mix in them, and straighten them. That'd be like a 1 day's work. Would be probably just doing 1 gravestone or maybe 2. But it was a good job. We'd sit around, talk. Some of the lads who worked on the job would smoke weed, but it was not for me. Never mix business with pleasure. That's my motto. Although having said that, I have done it in the past. Mix business with pleasure and learned to my cost about that. Yeah, so that was one of the jobs that we did. So that's the entrance, that way is where we used to come in the morning, and we used to walk around this corner here. Can't remember if this church was built then, back in 85, 86. May have been, may have not have been, but there was a porter cabin that was here, for the staff to go in to work. And there was another one here, but the helicopter's out. But there's an entrance here that would go in, but I can't see it now. Looks like that's been put there and it's been blocked off, but there was a room in there where we used to congregate, try and keep warm before we started work, and then we'd get dished out which jobs we were going in. So there'd be a porter coming in, we sat around talking, and then Lol or Brian, they was the two guys who was the managers, and Griff was the main guy. Lol and Brian, they worked for Wilson's Brewery, and they'd got made redundant, but they still wore the green jackets from Wilson's Brewery, which was quite amusing to us. But they were stand-up guys, good guys, who, you know, there was quite a rabble there who worked there, so keeping control of us was difficult. But yeah, so he'd say, right, EdgeMan, you're doing such a job, you're with blah blah blah. Yeah, so was the base, and then we'd go out onto the job. So go take you to the best job now that we did in the cemetery. I used to pray for this job, so I'll go there now and I'll show you. So I'm guessing here, I could be wrong, could be right. So this is the far end of the cemetery. As you can see over there, that's Brothers Field where football is played. So so this is where none of these graves was here on this side. All these graves are all new since 86. Obviously those ones here are the old graves, the old paupers' graves. So just around about here would be where we'd have a fire blazing, and we'd sit around, and what would happen is the tree crew would be cutting down branches all day, and the JCB would then trundle along this path to about here, and they'd drop all the branches that have just been cut down, and then we'd throw them on the fire, sit back, relax, smoke, talk. Everybody smoked back then. I mean, cigarettes I'm talking about. Everybody smoked, so we'd sit around, talk, and it was like just being a kid again. But we was getting paid to make a fire, which was amazing, and it was just the best job. Even in the winter like this, we'd be able to keep warm. In the summer, we'd just chill and have many good conversations with people who I knew, people I didn't know. It was good. Enjoyed it immensely. So now we'll move on from that to another good job, which I'll talk about shortly. Let's go. So I'm standing here at the side of the camp hut, which is behind me, and this is where we'd hide with our shovels over our shoulders, smoking, probably maybe smoke a cigarette and talk and stuff. Basically we was told to hide here. We was waiting for a funeral to finish, and our job was to, when everyone had gone, we'd go to the hole in the ground with our shovels, and we'd fill the grave in. We didn't dig any graves. That was left to the grave diggers, who were all professional grave diggers, obviously. So we'd fill the grave in and then pat it all down, put the flowers on, do a good job, excellent. The only bad thing was, in the winter like now, where it's freezing cold, and the grave being dug by JCB, the clay ones, and they'd turn the earth into big mounds of blocks of, it'd be like blocks of ice, well, frozen clay blocks. So the first one you threw in, poof, split the coffin, absolutely split it down the middle, and then the next one would split even more, and so all the coffin would be split, and you know, you'd be able to look in and see the remains, which is not a good sight to see. A lot of lads, you know, it's like graveyard you making jogs and things, but not for me. I just want to get over finished with. But the sand ones that was further down, the sand ones tended to be near the bottom of the cemetery, where around this part would be more the clay ones. So the sand ones in the summer, it was a dream job, and Griff would come out and say to us, "Job and finished, lads," and that would be the best word you want to hear, because you'd just be, you knew that meant as soon as you finished filling the grave in, you could go home. So it'd be in the afternoon when he would say job and finish, and it'd be great. So you'd work extra hard, extra fast to get the job done, walk back to the storeroom where I've shown you before, and hand our spades in, shovels, and go off and do whatever we did when we was that age, 21, 20, walking the streets of Moston, go to someone's house, listen to records, that kind of thing. So, but one of my greatest gags was told here. I want to retell it now for the sake of you viewers. So one day we was hiding from a funeral, all talking stuff, and I said, "You know what, we've got here, lads, don't you?" He said, "What?" Oh, I forgot to mention, we call them backfills. That was the name. You're on a backfill today. That was the name of, I don't know if it's a code name or not, but that was the name given to filling in the graves, backfill. So I said one day, it was like 1985, 86, James Bond film had just been released, A View to a Kill, soundtrack done by Duran Duran, and I said, "You know what we've got here, lads? We've got a view," and it was over there somewhere, the funeral parade was just going, "We've got a view to a backfill." I laughed anyway. I don't know if anyone else did, but I thought it was quite a witty remark, funny, incisive. But you know, I'm wasted sometimes. Yeah, I've always felt like I've wasted my life, but that's another story for another day. So this is the campo here, the front side of it. Oh, it's all fenced off now. I wonder why that is. It never used to be. When we was kids, we used to walk around the side and play games in there and stuff. But yeah, that's unusual. Don't know why. Right then, onwards and upwards. So another job was trimming, cutting the grass. So we used to get machetes and we used to hack away at the grass when it grew really long, like this. And it was one of the good jobs was the strimmer, where you get the strimmer and you go, and it was the first time I ever used one of these, and it was fantastic. I remember one day I was trimming away, smiling to myself, enjoying it, and there was a wasp nest down on the ground for some reason, and I strimmed into it, and as I did it, there's no health and safety, I had no glasses on or helmet or anything. It's about 1,000 bees flew at me. I just dropped the strimmer and ran. I ran like hell out of there. Yeah, and another time I was we was walking, I think we was maybe just walking to a backfill or something, and I was stood leaning on my shovel looking to see which way we was going, and there's this old couple past us, and she said to me, said, "Do you dig graves?" And I said, "Yeah, I think they're all right." It was such a great line, and I always wanted to do that line, and finally I got to do it, and it is one of our highlights of working at the cemetery. I dig graves, they're great. Alright, anyway, never mind. Right, so a few more places and then that'll be it, I think, for the Moston Cemetery travelling back in time with me to 1985/86. A couple more stories and then we'll get off. Behind me, over that building there, don't know if you can catch it on there, is what was known as the Thatched House. Every Friday when we'd got our pay, because you got paid cash in hand in them days, it was not nothing in the bank, it was all paid out, pay slip, pay packet. So lunchtime we'd get 45 minutes, I think, and we'd make a beeline to there because they did the best burger and chips bar none. And we'd go in there, burger and chips, a few beers, and then put some money in the slot machine, and we'd you know, try and make the most of the Friday afternoon. Occasionally someone would say, should we not go back, should we not go back, and that's what we did. We didn't go back. There it is, Thatched House. No, not the Thatched House anymore, like 2 houses or 3 houses or something. Occasionally we'd say, oh, sod it, let's go on a pub crawl around Moston or into Manchester or something, and get docked an afternoon's pay for doing so. But one time we did it, and what would happen, Brian would be waiting to make sure everyone came back from the pub, and he'd have a list of people, and he'd sign it off. One day, to my brilliant luck, he marked me as come back, so I got paid for spending an afternoon in the pub with my friends, enjoying myself. Good times. But more often than not, we'd get docked, but nothing would happen because everyone knew it was just a joke of a job. We never learnt anything. It was just killing time, and it was a glorious time. I was there, and my friends around me, Doyle, me and Doyle used to go home for our dinner every day because we lived near each other, Tyndall Avenue Way. So we used to go home for our dinner every day, except for Friday, of course, where we'd go to the pub. Pete worked there, amongst others. Made some new friends like Carl, who liked the Redskins. We used to talk about Redskins and Billy Bragg and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, one more story, one more last video, and then we will, and that'll be the end of it. That'll be Moston Cemetery. Have I mentioned that it's the dead centre of Moston? Sorry for another dad joke, but you know, I thought I'd lighten the mood. You know, we're in a cemetery, and it's usually a glum affair. Right. All right then. Let's go. Behind me, over yonder, is the Bluebell Pub, which is a very important part in the next story. Oh, not important really, but so what happened was, it was Christmas Eve. We was all in work till 12 o'clock, and then at 12 o'clock we was all allowed to go home. We all turned up in our donkey jackets, steel toe cap boots, worked till 12. I was probably just sat around in the port cabin playing cards or something similar. So there we all went to the Bluebell, 30 to 50 lads, swigging back the beers, and then he said, right, Ollie, who worked there at the time, and a Manchester Moston legend, he said, right lads, let's all get to town, get in the Yates's Wine Lodge, etc. So we knocked back to our beers, got on the 112 bus, or taxis. Some got on taxis, some went by bus. Well, met up at the top Yates's, a few more blobs in there, knocking them back. Then we're at middle Yates's, knocking them back. Then we're in the bottom Yates's, knocking them back. Then someone said, let's go to Brannigan's. So Brannigan's was on Market Street. So this must be like, what, 2, 3 o'clock at this time. full of last minute shoppers. So we all marched down Market Street, you know, donkey jackets, steel toe cap boots, and then there was a band who was doing Beatles covers, young lads, and they had a drum turned over full of money, loads of 20p's, 10p's, whatever. They must have been there for a few hours. So we stood watching, and as we stood watching, two of the lads, who I won't name, decided to help themselves to the drum of money, which they did. Then all hell broke loose. The lads, quite rightly, wanted to stop them. The other lads, the friends who was, you know, with the crew, stopped them from doing it, and this fighting broke out in the middle of Market Street, and it was bedlam. So me, Doyle and Pete decided, whoa, keep out of this one. So what I did was, let's get out of here. So we walked back up to Piccadilly, where outside where what is now McDonald's, where we used to get the bus. So we got on the 112, and as we got on, Ollie had made his way up stairs as well, but then the police pulled up in front of the bus. Bus won't go anywhere. Quickly we took off our donkey jackets, threw them down in front of the seats, and then the police came upstairs looking for people to arrest. They got Ollie, and he obviously kicked off with the police. They got him in an headlock, pulled him down and arrested him, took him off the bus, and Ollie spent the night in prison on Christmas Eve, which is another thing for his legend. But it was quite a day, and one of those days that you never forget. But yeah, so that's it. That's the tour of the Moston Cemetery, of my memories of it. It's in my heart, it's in my soul, and one day I'll probably be here myself in a wooden box, resting peacefully like you say you do. EdgeMan out.